Dak Prescott, George Pickens, and the Dallas Cowboys square off with Bryce Young, Tet McMillan, and the Carolina Panthers. This is a must-win game. The Dallas Cowboys are coming off of a nice win against the New York Jets on the road. So they sit at 2-1 on the year, while the Carolina Panthers are 2-3. They cannot afford to drop to 2-4. Meanwhile, Dallas cannot afford to drop to 2-3-1. Let's start with the Dallas Cowboys versus that Carolina Panther defense, because the Carolina Panthers did an excellent job defending the run. They limited the Miami Dolphins to less than 2 yards a carry in their matchup. They were great all day long. It wasn't like Miami didn't try at times to stick with the run. It's just they did not have much room to work with. That front that Carolina has invested resources into had a great performance. Now, for them going up against the Dallas Cowboys, immediately you look to the production that Darren Waller had at tight end. I'm going to Jake Ferguson in this matchup at tight end. He's been great for Dallas. A couple of weeks ago against Chicago, he had 13 receptions. He is an immediate X factor for this game. Also, Jalen Waddle went off against the Carolina Panthers, who's been playing great football for Dallas as of late. George Pickens with a breakout game against the Green Bay Packers, and then he backs it up with a monster day against the New York Jets, beating Sauce Gardner one-on-one. It was good coverage, but it was just a better play by George and an even better throw by Dak Prescott. This is going to be a fun matchup to see him go against J.C. Horn, one of the better corners, against now what is turning into one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. With Dak Prescott, you just can't wait to see CeeDee Lamb get back and see how much more explosive that Cowboys offense is. Now, after two positive outings for Dallas against Green Bay and the Jets, they have some momentum as an offense, putting up lots of points, sustaining drives. My eyes are continuing to go to the matchup of Javonte Williams. How many receptions does he have also out of the backfield? Not because of the PPR, the points per reception fantasy impact, but because the Carolina Panthers, once again, did not do a great job defending Devon Achane. He had a touchdown through the air, 6 receptions, didn't have a ton of yards, but that was a part of their game that they struggled. Javonte Williams has been spectacular on the season. Now let's talk a little bit about Carolina's offense in this one, right? Because they were coming into the year, and I assumed that Chuba Hubbard would be having a larger impact. I thought he was one of the more underrated players in football. How about the opportunity for Rico Dowdle to go against his former team in the Dallas Cowboys and have a heck of a day? Because he certainly had one against Miami. 23 carries, 206 yards, a touchdown. He's looking to back that up with another dominant performance against Carolina. What I loved for the Panthers was that Bryce Young necessarily didn't have to use his legs all that often, that he was able to be productive through the air, and then they were able to gash them on the ground with Rico Dowdle. Phenomenal game from him, seeing it very well, blocked well up front. When you run for 240 yards as an offense in the NFL, it's going to be very tough for a team to stop you. Tet McMillan and Bryce Young are establishing a great connection. It was great to see Xavier Legette a little bit more involved. He's clearly wide receiver 2 as of this point, has to stay healthy again. This guy, with his speed, explosiveness off the line, paired with that 50-50 contested catch ability and the route runner that Tet McMillan is, they can be a great combo in these two wide receivers. That was the idea of why you took both of them in the first round. These wideouts can be huge for helping Bryce Young and in this offense going forward on the season. Now, where these two teams stack up, the Dallas Cowboys, this is the best offense in the NFL. They are first in yards per game at 407, fourth in points, 30 points a game. But the Carolina Panthers, a little bit less than that. They haven't quite been as productive. Last week certainly helped a lot in their effort, and a great win against Miami. I don't really care about what records are. A win is a win in this league, and Miami came to play somewhat. So 21st in yards per game for Carolina. They are 24th in points. It stacks up that they will have to have a good day offensively keeping up with Dallas. It doesn't seem like either of these teams will fully stop the opposing offense. The Cowboys defense arguably the worst in the NFL, 32nd, that means last in yards per game, 29th in points, while the Carolina Panthers, they've been a bit more stout. For the record of 2-3, these statistics sort of back it up a little bit more to support that. 12th in yards per game, 19th in points so far on the season. So this definitely has been an improved unit the last couple of years from where they were the worst team in football a couple of seasons ago when they didn't even possess their number one pick in the draft that Chicago used to take Caleb Williams. The pressure that needs to be put on Dak Prescott, that is one of the absolute keys in this game. Besides, clearly in an NFL game, quarterback play is going to be vital, but you have to put pressure on Dak Prescott, force the Cowboys to try and lean on the run a little bit more. I don't think you want to play the style of game where Dak Prescott is able to take shots. You got to come out there putting pressure on Dak immediately and not giving him time in the pocket, making him uncomfortable early, finding a way to dial up stunts, 5, 6 man pressures so that Dak Prescott will know he can't hold on to the football longer because he just gets in such a rhythm sometimes where he plays so aggressive. And it was evident in the sense of looking at the game with just your eyes against the Philadelphia Eagles week 1. He's got a little bit more of that confidence and swagger to his game this year where he's attacking every single blade of grass on the field, and there's basically no throw that he's afraid to make. There's no defensive back he's afraid to make that throw against, as while he has decent protection. Prescott's only been sacked 7 times on the season. That stacks up as top 10 in the NFL through 5 games on the year so far. Meanwhile, it's been a little bit of a different story for Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. They're going to have to definitely protect him a little bit better. I love this game because you've got two teams that really need it. The NFC matchups always feel like this conference is a bit stronger this year because they've done very well in the AFC NFC play. So the NFC does look stronger, maybe even has more depth at the top of the conference. But then you've got that second waves of teams with Carolina, with your Atlantas, your Chicagos, your Dallas Cowboys, teams that are trying to make that next step and sort of file themselves back into the conversation for being in the race for their divisions, in the race for a wild card. I know it's very early to be talking about this. It's October, but still you can have a little bit of a look ahead. The winner of this game, you'll have Carolina 3-3, or the Dallas Cowboys will be back over 500 when the sky was falling with a loss to Chicago, dropping that one going to 1-2. Now they could be back over 500, 3-2-1. Offense playing great football, starting to figure it out now defensively. In this matchup, I'm a bit concerned for Bryce Young. I talked about the pressure Carolina needs to get on the Cowboys. Well, the Cowboys had been getting diddly squat as a pass rush. They couldn't get to Caleb Williams. This defense, we were very concerned with their production, and then they go out against the New York Jets and are harassing Justin Fields throughout the day. You can look at Fields' numbers and say, what? Looks like he had a decent day. The first 40 minutes of that game, that was actual meaningful football when the Cowboys took a 24-point lead. They were playing dominant defense. Fields had no time. They were limiting Garrett Wilson spectacularly, holding him. They were mixing up and disguising the looks so that they were confusing Justin Fields pre and post snap. Wasn't able to get the ball out quickly, and he holds the ball on. He holds on to the football longer than anyone else in the NFL, which can't happen. But Dallas doing a better job of getting pressure with 4 guys. Donovan Izaraku certainly turning into what the Dallas Cowboys hoped he would, taking him in the second round of the 2025 NFL draft. That's huge. They have to be able to somehow replicate the pressure you are getting from Micah Parsons. Now, it's clear that Dallas maybe didn't completely lose that trade. If you look at 2 future first-round picks, even if they could be, let's just say 16 or a bit lower than that, because the Packers, the worst they'll go is likely 9-8, and they look like they'll be in the playoff hunt. Still, Dallas, without that money on the cap, you can use that $50 million for 2-3 other really good players. So now, after the loss to Chicago, no pressure, things are starting to change from a narrative sense for Dallas, and it's getting exciting. They're getting James Houston going as a defensive end. He's been around a long time, getting production from him. They've got some veterans on that front. Kenny Clark, defensive tackle in that trade. He's starting to produce really well. He's still a Pro Bowl level player. So they've definitely figured it out. Getting Deron Bland back certainly helps. There was one specific play where I saw Trayvon Diggs on a 3rd down and 8 playing a little bit of off coverage. I want to see this team be a little bit more physical, testing the Carolina Panthers, young wide receivers that I know they're strong coming out of college. It's just a different level of strength getting off of press coverage and one-on-ones with NFL level defensive backs. So maybe a bit more aggressive nature. If they do hit you over the top, all right, you can then make an adjustment. But I want to see the Cowboys come out making Bryce Young have to throw accurate passes, a little bit more man coverage, tighter windows, and making him be able to force the football into gaps that instead of being able to just read the zones correctly, be able to fit it into guys that are in tight man coverage. I have the Dallas Cowboys winning this game. Look, I've got a ton of faith in this offense. They have been running the football very well. They've continued to do it the entire season. I've got the Cowboys in the tight one, 30-24. Definitely see the potential in what Carolina is currently cooking right now. Dallas did a good job of holding and limiting the Packers' run game last week. They did a very good job against the Jets. Breece Hall popped a couple of nice runs. They're able to force the takeaway, though, when it looked like the Jets had a shot earlier in that game, and it was still somewhat kind of close before they exploded, got the big explosive run before halftime, and that game was just about over at the half. So Cowboys 30, Panthers 24, Dak Prescott and company gets it done. Let me know down below in the comments whether you agree or disagree. I appreciate you so much for watching. I make Blitz with Blender NFL and college videos every day, so please subscribe and come back for more. We're certainly fired up that we're starting to head towards the middle of the season. The games get bigger and bigger. The implications become larger and larger. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.